Hello and what is up everyone, Thunderbob here, and I am doing a quick review for the game Deathloop. I'm going to talk about what I enjoy about the game, and also how the game actually works, as I feel a lot of people are confused about what Deathloop actually is. Now first off, this is the new game from Arkane Studios, the developers behind Dishonored and Prey, two amazing immersive sim FPS games. This game has a lot of similarities with those titles, and the genre in general, but it also veers into some new territory in some very interesting ways. The game has a loop mechanic where if you die a certain number of times, or if you make it through a full day, the game world will reset to its original state. Certain things do carry over between runs, like story and mission progression, and as you progress you gain the ability to infuse weapons, abilities, and mods using a currency you find in the game world and off of dead Visionaries, so they're retained. Your end goal in this game is to kill 8 Visionaries in a single day, which you do by playing through the same day multiple times, Groundhog's Day style, until you found the perfect way to maneuver these assholes into position to kill them all in one go. There are 4 main locations that you visit that are quite varied, and you also have 4 time periods that you can visit these zones. Each time you move between zones, the day also moves forward from morning, noon, afternoon, into evening, which changes the locations considerably, but in the end, the areas do get a little bit repetitive. In this way, the game feels smaller than those other games in the genre, but also feel wider. You end up becoming very familiar with the zones to the point where the game becomes kind of easy towards the end, something I think is intentional. It reminds me of that movie Edge of Tomorrow. At the beginning, Tom Cruise is this bureaucrat who has no idea how to fight, but after reliving the same alien battlefield repeatedly, he becomes a killing machine. The combat is fun, and it gives you a lot of tools and weapons to both kill your enemies and navigate the game world. And by the end of the game, I was able to navigate a level in 60 seconds that took me an hour to complete on my first attempt. You pick up a number of slabs from Visionaries you kill that give you powers very similar to Dishonored, invisibility, telekinesis, but in the end I primarily used the shift slab to teleport around the map. I really enjoyed the weapons the game had to offer and found myself constantly switching between them as I enjoyed them all. When you start a new day, and as you progress from one zone and time period to another, you go to a menu screen, and from here you can change your loadout, something you cannot do from within a mission. You can look over your current discoveries, decide where to go next, and continue the narrative. The game holds your hand a lot more than I was expecting at the onset. You pick what is basically a mission from this menu, you go to the right location at the correct time period, and then you follow the direction on your screen to reach the next step in a series of missions related to each visionary. You can turn off the on-screen assistance, but I feel like the game was designed with having them enabled, and it would be very difficult to complete some of these steps without them. In this way, the game feels less of an immersive sim, as much of the discovery is handed to you from this interface, and there is much less exploration. When you pick up a note or you overhear something critical to a mission, your discovery tab will automatically update, and it'll send you to the next step. I'm not saying this is completely a bad thing, as it does let you think less about the next objective and more how to navigate this interesting world, but don't expect much detective work to finally piece together how to beat all these Visionaries. It's more or less just following a predefined list of missions. There's really only one way that I found to complete the game in the end. The game structure actually reminds me more of Hades than it does Dishonored. In both games, after a run, you progress the story a little bit further, and you understand more of what's happening, and then you try again. Each time learning a bit more about the characters in the game world and getting the skills and knowledge required to break the endless loop.
Are you still doing that thing where you read other people's personal notes?
No, that would be morally reprehensible.
Did you notice how they're conveniently lying around for you to discover? Did it ever occur to you that I might be writing them just to fuck with you?
And you're doing that every day? You should find a better hobby.
Some of us enjoy writing. You should try it sometime.
The story's quite good with an interesting cast of characters. I particularly like the cat and mouse relationship between Juliana, one of the Visionaries who remembers each loop and is on the mission to stop you, as Colt, the playable character in the game. I feel they could have fleshed out the game world better, as even if you read all the terminals, listen to all the enemy chatter, and really dive into the fiction, it's still kind of confusing why everything's happening. Even at the end of the game, I'm not completely sure what it all meant. There's also some interesting hints in the game that this could be related or take place in the same fictional world as Dishonored, though it could just be cleverly placed Easter eggs. The graphics are quite good, and performance on my system was acceptable, though it is a demanding game. With an RTX 3080 and a 10th gen i7, I rarely drop below 100 FPS, but you may run into issues with older hardware. The music is okay, though forgettable, but the sound effects, voice acting, and environmental sounds in particular are top-notch. Overall, I enjoyed the game immensely and can recommend it to anyone seeking a unique spin on the immersive sim genre. But do keep in mind that the game has its own style, and don't expect the same depth and number of unique places to explore as a game like Dishonored. It is also a bit shorter, and you end up visiting the same location several times, so they do change each time. So do keep in mind that this may not be as fleshed out as an experience as something like Dishonored, Deus Ex, Prey, Bioshock, but I still really enjoyed it and wholeheartedly recommend it to fans of the genre. And beyond that, it also has a pretty cool multiplayer mode where you can play as Juliana hunting other real players, or you can turn on multiplayer and allow her to invade your game, which actually kind of expands on the replayability and makes up for some of the shortcomings in the number of environments and the length of the game. So again, overall, highly recommend the game, and you know, if you've got some thoughts on this, why don't you leave a comment below if you like the game, if you don't like the game. If you like this review, I have a ton of other reviews on the channel, in addition to other content for new releases, VR, retro stuff, Diablo Resurrected. If you like some of it, why don't you think about subscribing? Would very much appreciate it, and thank you again for watching, everyone. Have a great day.